4,000 miles west of China. Another tale of celestial beings influencing civilization can be found, this time in what is now modern-day Iraq. The Babylonian legend of Enuma Elish dates back to the 7th century BC. The text was first discovered in 1849 by British archaeologist Sir Austen Henry Layard while searching the ruins of the library of Ashurbanipal in Nineveh. The story tells of how the first humans were created by an extraterrestrial race known as the Anunnaki.
In the ancient texts of Sumeria, we have descriptions of these beings descending from the sky called the Anunnaki. The term Anunnaki means those who from the heavens came. It says, word for word, that these beings descended in flying vehicles from the sky. And we can find not only descriptions of the Anunnaki, but also depictions. And we can see them in statues, in carvings. So it's all very interesting to see that those beings looked like modern-day space travelers with weird suits. Some of them wore wristwatches, they had boots on and helmets, and above all, wings. And they were always described or depicted in floating above some quote-unquote regular people. So the question is, who were the Anunnaki? And according to the ancient astronaut hypothesis, they were space travelers who visited Earth in the remote past.
Here, in what is now known as Iraq, lies what is commonly regarded by historians and archaeologists as the cradle of civilization. Between 3500 and 1900 BC, the fertile area between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers was the home of the Sumerian people.
The Sumerians were one of the first cultures that built actual cities with streets and a street grid, like almost like New York City, where you have, a square street grid. They invented cobblestones. They had a sewage system. They were taught in agriculture.
The Sumerians also invented the first known writing system by using cuneiform script on clay tablets. In the 19th century, archaeologists exploring the ancient ruins of Nineveh discovered 22,000 of these clay tablets. When they were later translated, the texts described many stories similar to those found in the Judeo-Christian Bible.
Virtually every story that's in Genesis, the flood story, Adam and Eve story, they all have precedence with the ancient Sumerians.
In 1976, author Zecharia Sitchin published his own translations of the Sumerian texts in a series of books called The Earth Chronicles. According to Sitchin, the clay tablets describe an alien race known as the Anunnaki, who came to Earth to mine gold.
Zecharia Sitchin has essentially suggested that the reason why we were visited in the remote past is because the ancient astronauts' home planet needed gold for their atmosphere, and that their gold content in the atmosphere was depleting. So they came to Earth in order to mine gold and bring it back to their home planet.
According to Zecharia Sitchin, the Adamu were the first modern humans. They were created by the Anunnaki 450,000 years ago, when they genetically mixed their DNA with that of prehistoric man.
They took one cell of one of these ancestors of us. They changed the cell by an artificial mutation. They changed the DNA code, what our genetics are doing every day.
It's carved in their stone. This is not something made up. This is part of the Sumerian history.
They believed that the gods came down and created them, and they were their slave species. They knew that, and they didn't have any philosophical beliefs about the purpose of man or anything.
If you believe Sitchin's theory that mankind was created by ETs for slave labor, all of a sudden it makes sense. And then when you look at the biblical terms of what may have happened, Adam and Eve, sure, they may have been two individuals back a long time ago, the beginning of time. But perhaps Adam and Eve were the first of the genetically created human beings.
Closer comparisons between the Hebrew Bible and the Sumerian texts reveal many similarities, not only in their stories, but also in their language. Adam is Hebrew for man. Adamu is what the Sumerians refer to as first man, the Anunnaki slaves. But do the Sumerian tablets actually describe an alien race? A race that conducted mining operations on a global scale. Thousands of miles away, on the African continent, ruins of ancient gold mines have recently been discovered. The largest concentration can be found in South Africa, where some excavations, according to scientists, date back some 150,000 years.
They're in areas that have an abundance of gold right now, so it's very possible that they could have mined it. Now the big question is, how do we know they weren't human beings that simply did that? Why the ET theory?
In many languages in Africa, the native word for star means bringer of knowledge or enlightenment. Some African cultures believe that extraterrestrial beings have been visiting the Earth for tens of thousands of years. Zulu legends speak of a time when visitors from the stars came to excavate gold and other natural resources. These mines were worked by artificially produced flesh and blood slaves created by the first people.
Some ancient mines in southern Africa are thought to be 100,000 years old or older. If humans weren't doing that mining 100,000 years ago and making metals, then we would have to assume it would be extraterrestrials doing it.
During his time working on the Apollo space program, Chatelain learnt that aliens not only exist, but that they have had a major role in shaping, and in some cases destroying, civilization. The title of Maurice Chatelain's book proves he was in no doubt that aliens had invaded planet Earth in the past. If you study the legends of the North American shamans, the mythologies of ancient Europe, the creation histories of the Australian Aborigines, or the ancient Vedic texts of India, and especially the Sumerian clay tablets from ancient Iraq, we find that all great civilizations on the face of planet Earth tell one similar story. That is, in the distant past, people from the stars visited planet Earth and displayed fantastic technology. Sometimes they genetically engineered humans. Sometimes they directly interbred with humans. These so-called sky gods always visited in spectacular flying vehicles.
And the watchers from the sky saw the daughter of man were beautiful, and they bred with them. and the children were giants, who become rulers, not of human flesh. They were called the Nephilim.
The most ancient written texts on planet Earth date from the Indus Valley and make up a corpus of works called the Vedas. The Bhagavad Gita is an ancient Hindu text which is at least 5,000 years old. This epic mythology inspired the character known as Darth Vader in the Star Wars movies. The Bhagavad Gita described many gods of the stars flying down to planet Earth in alien spacecraft called Vimanas. The ancient Vedas tell us that there are multiple inhabited planetary systems in the universe called Devas, which are ruled by a universal government of beings with superhuman powers and technology, including the power of telepathy and nuclear weapons powerful enough to destroy an entire planet. The Hindu legends tell us that the Vimanas were like flying saucers, which had stealth technology, able to make themselves invisible, and were able to detect enemy craft at great distances using a form of psychometric radar.
In 1849, in what is now Iraq, British archaeologist Austin Henry Layard uncovered numerous Sumerian clay tablets inscribed with cuneiform script dating to 4000 BC. Based on interpretations of the tablets, ancient astronaut theorists believe an advanced race of intelligent beings arrived on Earth 450,000 years ago during the age of Neanderthals. And through genetic engineering, they created Homo sapiens, what is commonly referred to as modern-day human beings.
The Sumerians talk about a civilization that came here from above on another planet called Nibiru. And they call these creatures the Anunnaki, high-level people who came here to mine for gold. And in order to do it, they needed to genetically alter the species that happened to be on the planet at the time. They created man according to the Sumerian text.
It's not impossible that we exist as the result of gene manipulation experiments.
We are the only one who came out of the family tree with culture. Why? Evolution says by coincidence. We have adapted as best. I say no, it was an artificial mutation made out of the family tree.
And the Anunnaki saw the Neanderthal man naturally evolving here on Earth and just decided to put their genetic marker on it. Meaning they took 80% of their genes and 20% of the hominoid that was here and created us in their image and after their likeness.
And this was essentially when modern humanity was born and starts to show up in the fossil record. It wasn't until 75,000 years ago that you have this super volcano that goes off in Lake Toba. And in the aftermath of that great cataclysm, it appears that we went through further genetic modifications.
Regarded as one of the oldest written stories in history, the Epic of Gilgamesh told of a man's journey to the heavens to meet the god Anu.
The Gilgamesh epic, which goes back to the Sumerian. That's a piece where the hero Gilgamesh flies over the earth. And he describes how the earth looks from above. Fascinating. An old story of the first flight.
Is it possible that Moses was inspired by a force, not only from the heavens, but from another world? If so, is it possible that other divine inspirations have also had otherworldly origins. Far-fetched, ridiculous, insane. Ancient aliens visiting Earth centuries ago, building monuments, influencing scripture. But what if it all turned out to be true? What would happen if just one piece of evidence turned up, one stone, one key, that proved that von Daniken had been right all along? And if he is right, what does that suggest about our future? If alien visitors had come here before, would they come again?
If the ancient alien astronaut theory is somehow proven to be true, this would be a huge boon to my work and to the search for other planets like Earth with life on them. Because if alien astronauts have visited Earth in the distant past, it means they're pretty nearby. And it means that we don't have to look very far to find planets like Earth with signs of life on them.
But evidence has to be treated with a great deal of caution because it has different meanings. I'm not sure what the reaction of the population will be.
It will strengthen the general concept that our history of religions in the world needs to be looked at again with more respect and also with more wonder, meaning what are we supposed to make of this now and what are we supposed to be doing with this now?
And honestly, the way things are going on this planet right now, I would welcome a visitation every once in a while, a little help.
There is no doubt that my hypothesis will be accepted by the mainstream. It's maybe a question of just 5 or 10 years. Sooner or later, we will have contact with someone out there. And then the thinking, they will return. And if you don't listen to Eric von Däniken, you will have the shock of the gods.